Okay.
Cool. All right. Okay, I'm just going to get us live on Facebook. And then we will be ready. Hey everyone, we're just getting ready to start. I would love to hear where you are in the world, and also whether you watched either the live version or the recording of the original Gazelle Valley webinar. All right, hopefully we have a live video. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Really excited for you to be joining us. We have Eileen from upstate New York. I have to go all the way to the top. Debbie from Jerusalem. Marianne from London. Sarit in Arad. Abby from Minnesota. Paul from Toronto. Lucy in Washington. Arthur in Connecticut. Shelley in Nachlaot, not very close. Gillian in Carmiel. Susan in Pennsylvania. Eleanor in the UK. And whose daughter is Amanda. It's family there. Galia in New York City. Ellie in Cape Cod. Colin in Philadelphia. Douglas in Seattle. Hadassah in New York. Hadassah. Sylvia in Toronto. Bobby from Chicago. Milton from Brooklyn. And many, many more. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Lawrence Kasmir. I'm part of the philanthropy team here at the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel. I'm really delighted to be starting, I guess, season 2 of our live webinars after we had a break over the Chagim. For those of you who don't know anything about me or my organization, I've been working for the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel for 8 years. The Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel, or SPNI, is Israel's oldest and largest environmental NGO, with a backbone of Israel's environmental movement, with the largest staff of multidisciplinary experts and educators in the country. We are 10 years older than the Parks and Nature Authority, and a good 35 years older than the Ministry for Environmental Protection. I've heard from so many of you guys how much you've been enjoying our webinars, and I'm just really, really excited that we've got webinars planned from now until the end of December, every other week. They're all online on our website, which you can find www.natureisrael.org/webinars, and you can sign up right now. If you'd like to contact me or the team, you can do so at international@spni.org.il. If you enjoyed today's webinar and like to support our work, you can do so at our website, which is www.natureisrael.org. I'd like to remind or inform you that your donations are tax deductible in the USA, Canada, the UK, or Israel. If you'd like to send a check to our office, please contact me at international@spni.org.il, and I can get you the address. For those, can't really stand up. Sandra, I think what you need to do is to lower the volume on your computer. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be exploring some of the SPNI's amazing history with our former chairman, Yoav Sagi. And so a topic I'm really interested in, and I hope you'll join us for that. However, for today, I'm really excited to introduce you to 2 people. Yael Hammerman-Solar, who is the director of the Gazelle Valley. I'll Are people having problems with the speaker? I hope not, because I'm speaking. Is this better? Maybe Milton, you need to turn your volume up. I assume that's one person having a problem with the volume. Anyway, as I was saying, we have Yael Hammerman-Solar, who is the director of the Gazelle Valley. The Gazelle Valley is a municipal park in Jerusalem, which is managed by SBNI. We have a contract to manage the park and a competitive process, and we've won for the last 5 years in a row. The top 5 years of the park's life. And with her today is Ika Chipman, who is the Director of Marketing for the Gazelle Valley. And without further ado, I'm gonna pass over to them. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lawrence. So I know some of you have been with us in our last tour, which was in the spring, in the first lockdown that we had. I hope for those of you who have been in the previous session will learn some new things now and see some new things, because we're in a different season now. And what I'm happy to tell you that this time we were the only park that was allowed to keep our gates open. So we were open for the public, living 1 kilometer surrounding the park, and other people that could run, walk, or cycle to the park could enter the park freely all through the lockdown.
And I would say that was a big breathing opportunity for everyone, because one of the things that we see permanently in the park is how people need these urban nature sites, not only in the aspect of nature, which is why we get up in the morning, but also just as a place for them to breathe a bit, to literally to take a bit of a breathe, a bit of space from home without being in danger. And I think that was a big thing that we gave the citizens of the neighborhoods around us.
Yes, especially some of you know the neighborhood surrounding here. So we have very dense neighborhoods. Some of the apartments are 45, 60 square meters, which is very small without a balcony. This was the place that they could actually go out and feel as if they have their own private garden.
Yeah, we chose to start here. For those of you who've been here in the past, with us online, with us physically, then nature always looks different. I personally think that autumn is the most exciting time of the year. Some people would say otherwise. You never know what's going to happen. You never know how much it's going to rain, what interesting things are going to happen. You know, winter it will be cold, summer it will be hot. Autumn is always very exciting and very different from the previous ones. So for those of you that have been here in the past, everything looks different now. For those of you that have not been here in the past, virtually or for real, why did we choose to start the tour here?
So this hideout that we're inside is located on the water system. We will talk a little bit about the water system later on in our session, but the exciting thing about this place that it was built by volunteers. People that come here every morning wanted a place that they could sit quietly, watch the water, watch the birds, take amazing pictures of the wildlife here in the water system. And they came to us, the management of the park, and they asked us where they could build a hide. And we located this area, and they did it themselves. It took 6 months, but eventually this amazing little hide was developed. And this is part of what this park is all about. The community surrounding us, listening to them, helping them create their dreams right near where they live.
Yeah, and I think if you need to put the Gazelle Valley into a nutshell, so it's an urban wildlife site So urban, I don't need to say much more. Sooner or later, either an ambulance will disturb us because we're near a few main roads, or there are a few kids here on the other side of the camera. We don't even know who they are. They're sitting here watching us do this meeting. We're in the middle of the city. You can Google us. We're really in the middle of the city. Wildlife, we hope that I'm not hiding the waterfall behind us, and we'll see wildlife. Whether we want to or not, we'll see wildlife in the time that we have with you guys. So urban wildlife community, and it's all about constantly being in touch. That's the Gazelle Valley in a nutshell. I said to Yael before we started that we can just say that and go home. I mean, why do we need the whole 45-minute thing? But let's show you a few more interesting things here.
Yes. So the park is open free of charge to the public all year round, all day.
Ah, yes. Okay. So they've paused because Ika just had a phone call. Yes. So sorry for the technical difficulties. But I assume they'll be back in a second. Yes, Jerry, they are a little bit close, but they are outside. So we hope they...
Where did we freeze, Laura?
Oh, I don't know. A couple of 30 seconds ago.
Lawrence,
yeah,
did we get cut off?
Yes, you did get cut off, but you're back now. That was, yes.
At what point did we get cut off?
What?
At what point?
No, before you said you were about to walk off somewhere. So you're about to go off somewhere else.
Before we walk off, I suggest let's say something about the water system, because you can see it so nicely from here.
Right. So Gazelle Valley, it's a valley with two streams running through it. One is the main stream is Rakafot stream, which we can see right now. And what we did here, we stopped the water and we maintain it inside the valley instead of sending it to the water system, to the municipal water system, and then directly to the water treatment center, and from there to the sea, because it's important for us to leave water inside the city. It gives life. It helps to penetrate to the underground water, and it helps us to prevent floods. In the winter, we are a desert city, so we have very, very big floods coming here through the city and taking with them a lot of rubbish and creating a lot of damage inside the city. And what we're trying to do now in a sustainable way is to leave the water inside the city and to slow it down before it goes.
Yeah, if you want it in numbers, then Jerusalem gets a similar amount of water. If you look at the annual average, Jerusalem gets a similar amount of water as many European cities.
The city of London, for example.
Yeah, but Jerusalem gets that quantity of water in about 50 days on an average year. Whereas in London, you're talking, in various European cities, you could be talking about 200 or 250 rainy days a year. But it's the same amount of water. So that means that it comes flooding. If you want it in numbers, it's like that. And historically, if you look at anywhere in Israel, historically, what people always did was to do all they could to hold the water and to prevent it from just flowing onwards. And this modern concept, in the way modern cities are built, that you get rid of the water as fast as possible, has its own logic. Anybody can understand where it comes from, but it doesn't necessarily serve us when you have a urban wildlife site that's losing all of its water rather than keeping it, and when you have a main road at the end of the urban wildlife site.
So let's see one of the dams, and we'll see how it works with one of the pools.
In the meantime, you can get a look at what the hideout looks like. It's built of sustainable materials. You can see that it's all volunteer work. You can see the terrace, the stone terrace that's holding it all together was made by volunteers. And you can see it's got its own special vibe. We have other hideouts here. We have other bird hides. We have other places where you can get good photography, but everybody agrees that this one has its own special vibe and its own uniqueness.
So later on, we'll talk a little bit about the gazelles. Of course, it's the most important thing of this park, but life happens when there's water. So let's go and see the water system, and we'll see how it helps us create ecology and habitats that became scarce in the Israeli cities and in Jerusalem in particular. So here we're standing near pool number 3. We call it pool number 3.
Can't hear you. Yeah, I'll start again. Start again. You're too quiet.
Okay. So I don't know where I was stopped, but here we're standing near pool number 3. Pool number 3 is one of 5 pools that are located on the stream of Rakafot, coming all the way from north, taking water from 20% of the city. The run of water of 20% of the city runs down through this valley and goes into a canal opening in around where you see those houses and going outside in Rakafot stream inside the Gazelle Valley, going through 5 different pools. Each pool, like this one we're standing right near it, has a dam which we can control if how much we open it and how much we close it. Of course, by the end of the summer, we want to leave as much as water as we can in the habitats in order to create this amazing ecology that we've created here around the stream, which helps us bring more than 200 species, different species of birds, amphibians, amazing insects, dragonflies, butterflies, everybody coming to the only place where there's running water inside nature in the city of Jerusalem. So this is what helps us create a very, very unique place. You can see on the other side of the pool, we have ecological beehives that are run by the urban kibbutz, which is an amazing concept.
Its own right.
By its own. It's a community living in a kibbutz with all the economic aspects of it inside the city, which is a very sustainable concept. Not taking a new place just outside, but creating it inside the city and using the natural habitats of the city in order to create agriculture, just like the honey here.
Basically, yeah. No, I don't want to add anything.
Okay, so now we're gonna walk
downwards. We're walking south now, downwards.
The water system. Hoping to see some gazelles. Lawrence, if you want to show some YouTubes of the natural habitat of the gazelle.
I will share my screen, hopefully, and then we'll...
Now, it's important to add that on the one hand, it's an urban site. On the other hand, we're still talking about a natural site. So we can get, in the course of time, you can get a lot of good footage of gazelles, but nature is nature, has its own rules as to when you're going to see something interesting or not.
Another aspect that I would like to show here is the orchards. We're standing inside an agriculture area inside the city. We have here eatable forest, an eatable urban forest, and it's located exactly where the agriculture was located when 60 years ago, when
70 years ago,
70 years ago, when the state of Israel decided to give this area to kibbutzim in order to have food inside Jerusalem. Ika, do you want to?
Let's put this into the historical context. So basically,
yes.
Yeah. So basically, If you're too far, then one doesn't hear me very well. Basically, the historical story of the Gazelle Valley starts with the beginning of the state of Israel. And there was a siege on Jerusalem, and like every army, also the Israeli army prepares for the war that has just finished. And they decide they need orchards inside the city for the next time that there will be a war. The next siege on Jerusalem has not yet happened, but 30 years down the line, in the 80s, these orchards became not very financially viable, not very financially sustainable. For worldwide reasons, there is a gazelle. No. What is that? No, that's not a gazelle. So 30 years down the line, it became financially not very viable to hold such a small orchard. We're talking about 50 or 60 acres. That doesn't hold a modern orchard. And the kibbutzim that ran the place stopped keeping the orchards and started thinking about, where are we?
Here.
Started thinking about building housing, which would have been more financially worthwhile. The result was an outcry from the neighborhoods around the Gazelle Valley. We'll get a better view of the neighborhoods around in a little bit later in our tour, but basically an outcry from the neighborhoods around. To make a very long story very short, spent 15, 20 years in public protest and in court, the end of which was that court ruled that the place will stay a urban wildlife site, planned by the citizens, planned with full involvement of the citizens of the neighborhoods around. And in 2015, I really made a very long story very short. 2015, we opened in the current format with a fence around in order that the gazelles don't get run over if they decide to run away from a dog, with no dogs allowed in here, with the ability to actually control what's going on here. And when you have the ability to control, and when the place is big enough, and I must say it also has to do with a bit of a small ego. We don't have such a big ego as to think we're controlling stuff. We help nature do its course. We help nature run its course, and nature runs its course very nicely. So let's talk about the numbers of gazelles, Yael.
But first, before we talk about the numbers of gazelles, I'd like to add to this part of history you just talked about, the part of the gazelles. So what happened parallel to what Ika just described was the development of Jerusalem as a very, very big city, one of the biggest city in Israel. And development brings
its challenges.
Yeah, exactly, its challenges. So the first thing that shook this area was the begging road, which runs here. You can hear it. And
Ika, we've lost your video.
What?
You lost our video.
Now you're back. Okay.
Now we're back. Okay.
Let's go and see the road. So I started talking about the begging road, which blocked the ecological corridor. So imagine an open area starting with the Gazelle Valley, going through all the way down there. You can see the opening of the valley to a Faim stream, which is a very, very big stream and a very, very beautiful area of surrounding Jerusalem with wildlife. And gazelles running around here. We had about 30, 35 gazelles running around here, knowing that when they feel uncomfortable, when they have jackals or wild dogs coming from the neighborhoods, and they can start running and run to the Jerusalem hills. So this is how an ecological, healthy ecological corridor should behave. With you have enough space to run from danger. But when this road was built, this corridor was blocked, and 33 gazelles were left inside a very, very small area. And because it wasn't managed in any way, and it wasn't fenced like it is today, the gazelle slowly, in 15 years of this battle to save the Gazelle Valley, got killed by this road. And when we opened the park in 2015, there were only 3 gazelles left here in this area.
Females. You don't need a doctorate in biology to know that 3 females do not multiply very well.
Right.
And you can see we moved a little bit in order that you will be able to see the road in the background. You see the trucks were going past there. What one couldn't really see before. Yes. You can see one of the neighborhoods above the valley.
You can even see the development that's going on surrounding this area. So when we had this park fenced in 2 kilometers of fence, as I said before, 3 entrances that are open to the public all day long, 365 days a year, but no gazelles. And this is the Gazelle Valley, and we know that if we have just 3 females, of course, there's not going to be a continuation to this gazelles. We started thinking what we should do here. And what we understood that there are many gazelles in Israel that sadly were taken from nature by people. Sometimes good people that just thought that a little fawn was left in somewhere and was deserted by the mother. Usually it's not the case. And those people took those gazelles, and by the time they take them into their cars, into their trucks, they get imprinted, those baby gazelles, and they will not be able to go back to nature ever again. So those small gazelles were brought here to the park. We got about 11 gazelles, males and females. And this was the beginning of the Gazelle Valley Park. 5 years later, we have 70 gazelles here walking around the park. The first generation is imprinted, cannot go back to nature, but hopefully the 4th and the 5th generation is
they behave like wild gazelles. Exactly. They start running away. The happiest thing that you can see here, for us, the happiest thing I'd say,
it's not to see a gazelle.
is when we see one and it runs away at the kind of distance that is similar. I mean, we all know how gazelles behave in nature outside of the city. And to see a gazelle running away from you, I'd say maybe 15, 20 meters away, is maybe not so comfortable for photography, but it's very
healthy.
It's very healthy. It's a very good sign.
Right. And now let's go here and watch. Maybe we will see.
Guy, I have some questions about the orchard. People want to know what type of trees grow in the orchard, and also what's the name of the kibbutz, which used to own the valley.
So we planted about the same trees that were planted here while it was an agriculture area. We have apples and cherries and plums and nectarines,
olives,
and of course we have the 7
figs.
The 7 trees that of Israel, which is figs, olives, vine.
Griffin, vine, te'ena, fig, pomegranate.
Pomegranate, right. Okay.
We're going to do what
we're
gonna do what we ask people not to do.
No, we're gonna show what we're. We're gonna look there and something else over there. So,
if we can put the camera in the shade, then maybe
you want me to stand in the shade? Okay.
No, I want the camera to be in the shade so as we can.
I can go here. Maybe you will see better. Okay, so when we start planning an urban nature park, we have to take into consideration that we want the wildlife to be preserved. We want people like the 2 amazing children that are following us here in our tour. You can stay here, it's okay. We want the wildlife, on the other hand, to be preserved. So we've created this very sophisticated border. It's called the yellow rope. And the yellow rope is just standing here, telling people, please do not cross, because this is an area that the gazelles feel that they can walk around free.
Now, what most people think is that if you tell Israelis, please do not cross, then what they will do is cross. And well, we've discovered a very unique phenomena here, and that is you tell people, even if they are Israelis, not to cross, they don't cross. It goes back, I think, to community involvement. It goes back to giving people responsibility and giving people a sense of belonging.
Gazelles. Okay, we have 3 gazelles running here. Sorry, this is
wildlife. You don't know when it's gonna come and where.
So you see, although we have the yellow line, the gazelles don't really care that they have their own territory, and because they feel very, very safe here, because people obey the rules, they feel free to go into the areas which that belongs to the public. Did you have a chance to see the gazelles? I'm not sure. Maybe it's too far with the camera.
No, they're too far. They're too far.
See the gazelles?
We can keep following them. We'll probably get someone closer up.
Up there. No,
yeah,
they run really fast, and they're not.
They're very well camouflaged with the summer.
Let's go back to the yellow rope.
Let's go back down to the yellow rope.
I'll show a video of some gazelles at some point when they stop talking.
So, but it is you did see that we see gazelles, and people going around in the park do see gazelles, and the concept is that they're walking inside nature. It's not like in a zoo or in
it's not like a zoo.
It's not like a zoo that you come see the gazelles behind the fence. You are a visitor in nature. This is it connects to what Eco was starting to say. People feel that they are visitors here, and they have to respect the place that they visit, and this is the place of the gazelles. So they respect the rules. They respect the fact that they can't cross this yellow rope, although it's the easiest thing to do, just go under and cross. And this is part of what we're doing as a community. We're educating the public, and usually it's people that don't have the money to go abroad to see nature, or to even pay for 6 members of the family to go into a national park or reserve. Here it's free. You can see nature. You're respected, and it respects you back.
I wouldn't use the word visitors. I wouldn't use the word visitors, because when somebody feels involved, then the word visitor isn't so accurate. We believe in a strong connection with the community. So of the
gazelles again. Sorry, Ika, every time you start talking, the gazelles appear.
If that's the case, I'll just keep talking.
Okay. They went there. Let's try and see them there.
See?
Okay, let's just leave the camera and hope that they will appear here, because they ran towards this area. But Ika, go on.
What I was saying is that I suggest that we, stabilize it like this, and we'll talk without being in front of the camera. We'll talk behind the camera. What I was saying is that this isn't about having visitors. Obviously, of the 200 or 150,000 people that come here every year, the vast majority obviously feel like visitors, but a very large number also don't feel like visitors. They feel like this is their home. They come here on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis. They know the place. It's not like someone that came here once and isn't going to come again. People return, partly because it's free, obviously, but also for a lot of other reasons. They return because they feel like the team listens to them. They return because it's nature, it's constantly evolving and changing. They return for their own reasons. But it's really about community involvement.
Of course, when I meant visitors, I meant us as people, visitors in nature. But but I of course that we mean the same thing. Okay, community. Yes. So here you can see some parts of the community. I didn't ask them if they want to be in this broadcast, so I won't see their faces. I won't show their faces. But I think Ika, how about we go to the place where we're gonna have the center, the new Center for Urban Nature and water systems and urban water systems.
Yeah.
So a few months from now, we're gonna have a new center here. We raised money together with the Jerusalem Fund and JNF United States and the Jerusalem municipality to the first center, education center for urban nature and water and
urban wildlife and education.
Yeah, and water inside the city.
Nature preservation.
Yeah. Because we found out that what we did here in order to just stop the water, we see that a lot of people all around the world are dealing with this issue of runoff water and what we can do with it now when there's climate change. And now when we see that places that do not behave like desert cities are starting to behave like desert cities, having very, very short events of heavy rain instead of events that are spreading in a week or 10 days. So if in the past we had an event that took 10 days and we had the same amount of money of water, now we have an event happening in 24 hours, bringing us the same amount of water.
I'd say in the past, floods would not be a regular thing, and now floods are an annual problem.
Right.
Almost every year, you get one or two serious floods.
And this is not happening only here in Jerusalem. This is happening all around the world. And people from all around the world look at this place, the Gazelle Valley, and try to adapt the water system that we have created here, nature-based water system, to other places around the world. So when we started to work on this education center, which is going to be located here where we're standing right now, it began as just an urban nature place, educating urban nature. And through the years, we understood how much the water system here is actually what brings life and what represents sustainability in sustainable cities. So let's look what we're gonna see from this center. So this center will be
right. There's a wind that the mic probably catches and the human ear doesn't notice, so we can't spend very long here.
Okay, so let's go down to the height and then we can show the
say center. What you wanted to say.
Okay, what I wanted to say that it's going to be on pool number 4. We've been in pool number 3. Now you see the pool is very low. Of course, in the winter, we have much higher water and the pool is much bigger. We're in the end of the summer before the first rain, and this is the lowest as it can get. And this building is going to be digged right here inside this area, having a window inside the pool, showing us and educating us how the water system comes from the city, very, very filthy, bringing us all the rubbish from everywhere and slowly going through the ecological system, running through it. And after 2 weeks, they suddenly will see the water getting cleaner and cleaner. And this window as itself will be an amazing research
educational
opportunity. Let's go and see the hide from the area where we can see the water.
This is also one of the best places in Jerusalem to see different bird species.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jerusalem, Israel is one of the best places in the world for bird watching. Jerusalem gets the largest number in Israel of certain kinds of small species. Everybody knows the big, relatively big-ish birds that fly over the lower and hotter areas of Israel. Jerusalem gets a small songbird, birds that weigh 10 grams as they migrate. That's about like a ketchup bag that you would get when you buy a hamburger. That's 10 grams. That's what these birds weigh as they migrate. Yeah, careful. And so those are the migrating birds. Wagtails are the famous ones that every Israeli kid knows, but there are many, many, many others. We're walking into a bird hide that's one of the best places in the area to see kingfishers, beautiful birds with a white chest and bright colors on the wings, blue and brown. We get endangered species here. I mean, as I said before, we let nature do its course. Nobody expected to have certain kinds of endangered ducks. Maybe
inside the city. And I'm just stopping Ika here for a minute to show you how how much we are really inside the city. So this is at Summit, it's Pat's Junction, which is going to be one of the
biggest
stations of the light rail. The light rail is going to run through this road that you're watching now. We're gonna have about 12 large scale buildings with more than 30 floors here in this junction, and both sides, this side and this side on this area. This is Pat's neighborhood, which some of the people that started this battle for preservations of the Gazelle Valley still live in this neighborhood. And we have here a Rasko neighborhood and Givat Mordechai, which is the neighborhood closest to the Gazelle Valley. Ika, sorry, I stopped what you were starting to talk about.
So I was saying we let nature take its course. So there was no water here in the summer in the past, and now there is all summer long. And already a few years ago, we got a few endangered species. So Lel Bitzot, I keep forgetting the English name, and other kinds, maybe Lawrence or someone can Google it. Different endangered species. We started with the gazelles. The gazelles are a landmark. They're a tool for saying urban nature is important. I can't imagine that the struggle would have succeeded this way if we'd have tried to sell the Fly Valley rather than the Gazelle Valley, although maybe they're just as important. But that said, gazelles are an endangered species, as are certain kinds of birds. And we started to see more and more of these species show up at the valley. We invited them insofar as we gave them a good place to come to. We gave them water and food, but we didn't bring them here in that sense of you go and take something and bring it.
Okay, so we're entering now the hide. Which again we did thanks
if there's someone in here, we should put on masks.
Right. We should put a mask, but I think
we're alone.
Almost alone. I think we could stay far enough. This hide was also built together with the help of the Jerusalem Fund, which supports us from the beginning. And let's see what we can see here today in this beautiful place.
Let's see what you want to do.
Yeah, maybe you can do like last time. I will sit here and try to.
1 second.
Do you see in the picture in the water?
1 second. We're basically at the height of the water. We'll do it like this.
Yeah,
we will do it like this.
Great. So we're sitting here.
There we go. We vanished for a second. Are we back on?
Yeah, you're all good.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, so we're sitting here on the water surface of pool number 4. On the left side of the camera is the same dam that we saw up in number 3, but it's a much bigger one. But it does the same thing. It stops the water from running through the stream, and it maintains it here as long as possible. As I said before, when it gets to pool number 5, the water goes down in underground and gets pumped up back to the first pool, and then it runs through this water system.
Circulates again and again.
Circulates again and again. And as you see, the only thing we did here is take care of the plants. We just put the seeds and put the water, and we waited for nature to do its thing. And this is what it does. And what's amazing is how much it thrives in 5 years and the amount of birds we have here. So what we see here now is the sufiyot.
The scientific name of the sufiyot, you can hardly see them on a phone camera, but the scientific name of a sufit, if I translate it from the scientific name to English, would be something like a small chicken with a green leg. If they stand up, maybe we'll see their legs. That's pretty rare. Usually they swim around.
Yeah, so they're not exactly ducks, but they're chickens, but they live in the suf. The suf is this plant you see here. We found out that this plant exists when the water goes deep, doesn't go deeper than 80 centimeters. So when the water system is not at its full capacity, we have here too much of this suf, of this plant, and we have to go inside this pool and cut it off. So the birds will have places to hide, but also places to swim around, and people will have the ability to see the amazing wildlife that is surrounding us.
I think an important element here is also the community. Again, you get people, if we, as nature people, we talk about biodiversity. As community people, we talk about human diversity. And this small hide that, yeah, will excuse me as I walk past it like this, but you know, it's a very small place. A couple of benches, a little bit of a niche for getting organized, for putting your stuff if you want. That's it. Okay, a roof, protection against the water because our feet are now basically under the water. And that's it. I'm turning around to look out of the, I'm turning around to look out of the hide. There's people who just, we don't know who they are. People come and enjoy the place regardless of background. You get whoopah to sufiyot coming nice and close.
Yeah, so I want to add to that the amazing and the most beautiful.
They might start screaming, and that would be funny.
If
Let's
they
give
do,
them a
I'll
second.
stop talking. But I do want to say that the amazing part of my day each day is coming here very, very early in the morning.
Okay, Tamiel. No.
Okay.
That move was too fast and we scared them away.
Yeah. So coming here very, very early in the morning, 6:30, entering this beautiful hide and watching together a photographer from Ramallah, a photographer from a Russian immigrant, ultra-Orthodox lady and her son, and all together, not talking politics, but talking about birds, talking about
having a normal conversation.
Yeah, completely normal. And this is in the middle of Jerusalem, maybe
the most
political city in the world. But this is what nature does, and this is what nature does inside cities. And that's why we believe that this should be the concept of the open areas inside cities. There should be a diversity in open areas. Some should have a very intensive playground with grass, but definitely some of the parks inside the city should look like this, bringing wildlife to the people, very, very close, because the effect is amazing on the community.
Do we have questions, Lawrence?
We have a lot of questions, and also happy enough, a lot of them are for me. A lot. Okay, so I guess
out of this, as other people will be able to.
We're gonna move out of the hive.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video about the Gazelle Valley so people can see some gazelles, which is about 2 minutes, and then we will ask questions.
Okay, we're walking out of the hive and we're open for questions.
Right. All right. I will start a video and then we'll do questions. That seems like a good plan.
Hi there. Welcome to Gazelle Valley. It's Jerusalem's newest urban wildlife park, a part of a new initiative of the Jerusalem municipality and the neighborhoods around us that decided that this beautiful place should stay open, free access, full of wildlife, and you're more than welcome to enjoy it. Come on.
Okay, Lawrence, we're open for some questions.
All right, I'm just going to wait for the film to finish and then we'll be with you. It's like 1 minute.
Gazelle Valley is not only about nature, it's about people. And this park would have never been open without the people that live around this valley. Community created a design framework that enabled to create a program for a park here. And this program was approved by the planning authority. And not only that, the municipality made sure that this comes true. And what you see here is the park actually is a part of the water system in the city. All this park for biodiversity based on runoff water that comes from the paved streets in the city. This is where it's basically collected in a big reservoir and then recycled, purified, and becomes a habitat for birds, for insects, for a lot of wildlife, and of course a place that attracts a lot of people. Respect nature, treat nature well, it will treat you back the same way.
All right. Okay, back to you guys.
Okay. Just a second, we're gonna, hi. So we're now in selfie. We're sitting here now in one of the open classrooms that we have in the Gazelle Valley. I just wanted to add a small information that before we were in lockdown, the Ministry of Education came and asked for us to locate as much places as we can for outdoor learning. So we've managed to find 35 open classrooms here in the Gazelle Valley, 20 of which were accessible to handicapped. Unfortunately, a week after we've located and started arranging it for schools to come here and study, the lockdown began. But I hope that now that we're slowly going back to the schools, we're gonna be able to
you guys are frozen again. I assume Ika has another telephone call. So we'll just wait for them to come back.
have those classes.
We back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Lawrence?
Yeah, you're back.
For a minute, we're back.
Yes.
I think as parents, we both believe that when you learn outdoors, you learn much more than, I mean, neither one of us is a teacher. We're the wrong people to ask this question, but I would say, see and believe that when you teach kids outdoors, they learn much more than just what you're teaching them. It's not just about mathematics. It's about, wow, I can learn mathematics with Olive trees as my background. It's a very different experience for them. Questions?
Yeah, questions.
Okay, so we're going to do. I'm going to ask this one question now. Then we're going to wrap. Then I'll say goodbye to everyone, and then we will continue asking questions afterwards, if that's okay with you guys. So the question is, where is the Gazelle Valley, and how do you visit it?
Where is?
The Gazelle Valley is in the middle of Jerusalem, in between neighborhoods, Givat Mordechai.
Is there someone from abroad asking?
I think actually some Jerusalemites asking.
Okay. So if you're from abroad, I would say a 7-minute drive from Yad Vashem and from Mount Herzl, and a 15-minute drive from the center of town. If you're from abroad, that's what you need to know. If you're a Jerusalemite, then you should know Summit Pat, the Pat Junction, the Pat intersection. You should know probably
line 19 and 18 in the public transportation. Coming here every 10 minutes. And that we have a very large parking lot for people coming.
Just write Gazelle Valley on Waze.
Right.
It will take you very nicely. Or Google.
I hope it answered the question.
And also, are there tours in English and Hebrew?
Are there tours what?
In English and Hebrew.
Okay, so we don't give tours. We give a park. What does happen here is a few other things at the same time. You do get a kind of welcome, if you want it, when you show up at the desk before you enter the park. This is, I'm right now ignoring the fact that we're in lockdown and the fact that right now, as we speak, we don't do this. In normal times, you get a kind of a welcome as you show up at the desk. That's one thing. Another thing is, on times when there's lots of visitors, you know, August, Sukkot, Pesach, when people are on vacation, then we have activities for the public that includes also a guided stuff. And as we speak, we're working on
self-guided tour in the Gazelle Valley. This is something we've invented in the Corona when we understood we cannot guide more than 20 people together. We've created a kit for people to guide themselves, for the parents to be really good guides, and to guide the children of everything that they can find in the park. And we have 3 different tours. One tour about the water, one tour about the gazelles, and one tour about man and nature, people in nature, humans in nature.
Okay, so
of course, you could get a tour guide, any tour guide from anywhere.
More and more tour guides. Yeah, that's one of the things. I believe that's one of the big things that's been happening here. More and more tour guides in Israel become interested in the concept of urban wildlife. Some of them know more, some of them know less about nature.
And some of them even got were educated here in the park, because we have courses for tour guides, how to talk about urban nature, what to show in the park. So we have a lot of private tour guides coming here and explaining everything in every language: Russian, English, Arab.
I like the question that I just asked. Do you harvest the fruits from the trees, and do you want to introduce any more animals? Well, I can tell you that I think it was Yael or somebody else in the team gave me a call and said, listen, there are amazing nectarines. Come pick some for yourself and for your family before the neighbors finish them all, because whoever wants can just come and pick them. We don't harvest in that sense and we don't harvest in the agricultural sense. When a fruit is good, anyone can come and pick it.
And we do have the community. We sometimes have to pick the fruit in order, because this is what we need to do for the agriculture and the well-being of the trees. So we put them in very big boxes, And we tell the public in our site and in the Facebook, come, there are lots of nectarines, you can come free and take them home. And people do come to take all the
really good nectarines. You should come here, I'd say August kind of.
Yeah, no, June. August.
Right,
nectarines are in June. We have other things in August. But they're organic and they are kosher because it's on public land. So we don't have to have all the kosher aspects that belong to private land.
There was a question about animals. Do we plan to introduce any more animals? We don't plan to actively bring any new animals here.
Well, the tortoises.
What?
Tortoises, yes.
Right, there was tortoises.
Yeah, I will. Our concept is we have here what was here before this became a park. So that's gazelles, that's tortoises, that's birds coming here by themselves. And when we get animals that we want to bring them back to nature and they are imprinted, but they were here before in this natural habitat, we bring them here and we let them and we send them free from here. So we don't bring other species. I do want to talk for 2 seconds about the tortoises. The tortoise is an interesting story because we had people bringing their tortoises here and saying, oh, we had this for 30 years at our house. And we saw it was a thing. People want to get rid of the tortoises that they took from nature, not knowing it's something wrong. So we went out to the public and we told them, bring us the tortoises. You're not allowed to keep them at your homes. You're not allowed to take them from nature. It's illegal in Israel. And we had, in 5 days of campaign, we had more than 300 tortoises arriving here in the Gazelle Valley. We have them here in this their cage until we see that they're very, very healthy and we can free them to the Gazelle Valley or outside to nature. But
some of them spent too many years eating cucumbers and cabbage leaves, and that they became too distorted. They'll never be able to survive in nature. Some of them spent a shorter time or spent time in people's gardens, and therefore they're in a better condition and they could survive nature. I'd call it an enclosure more than a cage.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I would like to thank everyone for joining us. We really, really appreciate it, especially for all our friends in America where this is quite early for them. The feedback has been really, really positive so far. So thank you very much to Yael and Ika for this really, really good talk, which it was definitely better produced than the first time we did this. That I've had lots of questions about donations. So thank you everyone who's who asked about how to support the Gazelle Valley.
I can't hear him very well.
And
Lawrence?
Yeah?
Lawrence, we have people here walking, so we didn't hear the question.
No, I was talking, there wasn't a question. So there wasn't, I was just saying everyone who's offered to make a donation, to ask for a donation, you can do so on our website, www.natureisrael.org. The Gazelle Valley itself is supported by the Jerusalem municipality. It's a municipal park. So we don't actually need donations for this project specifically. But if you would like to support the creation of other parks like this, then that would really, really help us. And you can do that by including a note with your donation to say it's for urban nature development, because we have another one of these planned elsewhere in Jerusalem. And we have other projects similar all over Israel. And that's its own subject in itself, its own topic in itself. As I said, we're going to continue answering questions now, if you want to stick around, if you're able to stick around. And if not, we'll see you back in 2 weeks' time for for a lecture about some of SB9's historic campaigns, including when we went to the Senate to campaign against the founding of the Voice of America. For people asking how about the mission, I'll send an email about that in a few days. And then I guess thank you again to Ika and Yael, and we're gonna keep going with the questions. So Ellie asks, how do we keep the birds from smashing into high-rise buildings? Is the question.
How do you keep birds from smashing into high-rise buildings? I don't know if that's
It's not a question for the Gazelle Valley, but we're
very strongly connected with the Jerusalem Bird Observatory. And I would say on the personal level, if you work or live in a high rise, or if you have gigantic windows, if you put on them a sticker that looks like the black shadow of a raptor, you can buy them on eBay, you can make them yourself, whatever works for you. That's on the personal level. On the level of planning, how to plan a city in such a way that it won't happen, I personally don't know. I know who to ask. So if you want to email Lawrence, and Lawrence, you'll forward it to Yael or to me, we have who to ask. If it's a planning question, we know who to ask. If it's a personal question, then just a sticker of a raptor.
Mm-hmm. So Lucy has been wants to know how we manage the gazelle herd. How do we make sure there's not overpopulation? How we keep all the gazelles healthy?
Okay, so we watch the gazelles every day. We have a person that this is his job. We have a vet working with us in case we have some problem with some of the gazelles. And I guess that very, very soon we will have to and we're working towards it, is to free some of the gazelles and bring them back to nature. And this is would be amazing for the park and for the Israeli nature, because we know that the amount of Israeli gazelles is decreasing all the time. 15 years ago, there were about 20,000 gazelles, and now there are about 4,000 gazelles in Israel. Israel is the last place that there are Israeli gazelles alive, remained alive.
There's more. I think there's a couple more things. The scientific name is, somebody asked what kind of gazelle. The scientific name is
Gazelle.
Gazelle, and if you want to relate to it, to differ it from other kinds of gazelles and Israeli gazelle. Did you talk about the interaction between males and stuff like that as a sign for health of the herd?
No, not yet.
Can I just add something about the reintroduction? That the reintroduction of gazelles from the valley into the wild are really thanks to our donors, because that was the subject of our fundraising, our end of year fundraising campaign last year, and we raised $20,000, which is going specifically towards buying the collars. I've seen the emails in the last few weeks about ordering the collars from Germany. So really, it's thanks to all the people on here and our other generous donors from around the world who have made this possible. So, and we'll definitely have some content about the release.
So hopefully the results will be soon.
Hopefully on next month we can start with send some results from this amazing project that we started some months ago.
I think the question about the health of the gazelles goes also to following their behaviors and to understanding that a wild animal that lives in its natural habitat will be sick very rarely and will normally live just about a healthy life. And get to adulthood and get to old age and die of old age unless it gets hunted. That is what will happen to a wild animal, like a gazelle in a wild habitat like the Gazelle Valley. We're a limited space, so when the population will grow at a certain point, we'll see signs that the population is too big relatively to the size. It could be in all kinds of ways. The first way that comes to mind is if you see aggressiveness between individuals. That's a very clear sign. There are other signs that you can see. You'll see more subtle things like certain plants getting eaten too much. You'll see all kinds of signs. And then we'll know that we absolutely must release more gazelles and that we've reached the top. At the moment, we're not yet there. This valley has, so far, is not yet at the point of, we're not yet at the equilibrium.
Right. Other questions?
I think the last topic for the day is about the plan for the visitor center. Like what's like we had some questions about how's it going to be built? What's it going to be built out of? What's sort of the plan for what's going to go inside? So if you want to talk a bit more about that.
Yeah. So we're trying to have it built in the greenest way possible. The first and the most important thing is that it's going to be underground. We're gonna, when we were walking up that plateau, this was actually would be the roof of this building. And of course, we know in green planning that if we go underneath the ground in terms of coolness, that it's very important in Israel. It's the best climate, and it helps us.
It's the easiest way to do climate control.
Yeah, exactly. It's the easiest way to do climate control. We're still looking for a donation for creating panel roof with solar panels in order to have all the electricity inside the building. Sustainable electricity. We still didn't find the donor for that, but we are creating everything needed in order to do it when we will have the ability to put those solar panels.
Content. What content will there be in the building? Here's a question.
And inside the building, we're gonna have a gallery that will show different aspects about urban nature, about man and the environment, about the Israeli gazelle, of course, which is a unique species for this area. And we're gonna have a lab, educational lab for kids in the schools all around Israel and the world could come and have an experiment about the water system, about the ecological water system, sustainable water system, checking different kinds of aspects of this water system, biological and chemical. And of course, we're gonna have this very amazing window underneath the water, helping us to educate about water systems in desert countries.
Okay, awesome. I think that's the last question. I can see people beginning to leave. So I'm going to play a video to end today's webinar. So thank you very much, Ika and Yael. It was really, really great. Everyone's got such amazing feedback from you guys. Yes, we know that our quality of the quality of the presentation in terms of the audio visual is not as high as we'd like it to be, and we are looking for donations and funds and grants to do that. So please God, we'll find some in the near future. But with that, I'm going to say goodbye to Yael and Ika, and I'm going to share my screen one more time for one more video. Do you want to say any final words, guys?
We didn't hear you.
Final words, say goodbye.
Final word, thank you everybody.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you here soon for real and not only on Zoom.
Yeah, hope that the sky will open and we can all
Okay,
meet here.
awesome. All right, let us go for last and only.
לא מקרין איזה זה.
לא היו שקסמו לי כמו דמותו ורוחו של הצבי הגדול. אז שאלתי אבי אם יוכל לספר לי על קרניים מופנות לסילוק של קולות, על עקבות שהיו
ראשי פרקים.
עכשיו אני פותחת את זה, ואז נכנס לטלפון שהספיק לי את כל היום.
בואי נסתכל על זה. מה שיש לך להגיד על זה מן הסתם, את יודעת? את תגידי בצורה די ברורה בתוך כמה דקות. לא צריך הכל לפתח לכדי שיחה ארוכה ומעמיקה. למה זה מפתיע אותך?
כן? כן.
זה מונח אמרת לעצמך, קובץ. בסדר, להם יש מושג יפה.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.